Listen to the sound of that fuel pump. Okay, I'm working on removing a gas tank for on a 96 GMC Suburban, and I got the negative cable off for safety for the wires, and I got the cover. There was a steel cover that covers the gas tank because this is a four-wheel drive, and I got that off last night. First thing you want to do is remove this clamp right here, and I notice it's all rusty, so I want to replace that clamp. Pull that both those hoses off before you do anything else. Okay, so I got them both off. Now we're gonna go ahead and get my jack ready with the block and remove these bolts here. See this bolt hole that's empty? You can see the threads. That's where the steel plate was. I'm gonna take this one out. You can see all that wetness around there. It's because I sprayed it with WD-40 last night before I did anything. Okay, so now I got the jack underneath there with the wood block, and I'm starting to loosen the bolts. And you want to be mindful of any kind of trailer towing wiring that's mounted to the frame, because when the gas tanks come down, if it comes down too fast, you could rip the wires and then you have to replace and fix wires. So what I like to do is I like to loosen the bolts a little bit, and then I like to slowly lower the jack, and then tighten the jack up so it doesn't lower anymore, and then start loosening the bolts again. It takes a little more time consuming, but at least you don't get that surprise drop of the tank when you take that last bolt out. So anyways, okay, so I have the straps, both of them are removed, and I lowered the jack, and the only thing coming down was this protective cover. The gas tank, I'm guessing, has fused itself to the body. So I'm assuming that it's melted off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the clamps back in, about 6 threads, give or take, and then try to gently take a piece of wood with this pry bar and kind of, move it around a little bit until it breaks free, and then it'll break free on the clamps. The clamps will still be holding it, and then once I get it to break free, then I'll take the clamps back off. So. Okay, so I've got the tank loosened, but before I do anything, up here on the other side, kind of in front of the differential here, if you get your body placed in front of there, right here by the strap, right here to the left up on this rail, there's a quick connect. You gotta push this button here and pull that. That goes on the other side, and that's for your fuel tank sending in it, and kind of move this out of the way because it's grounded to this nut, which is 13 millimeter socket. So then I'm gonna take that socket off. I know it was pretty loose. Usually I loose stuff up, but I forgot to crawl under here with the WD-40, but luckily I didn't need it in this instance. So let me just remove this bolt. Okay, well, it was spinning my finger, and it's jammed up again, so I'm going to do that again. And I might just be pausing this here again, but let's see. Yeah, it's going to be faster for me to just pause this and re-edit, but yeah, so I just got to get this bolt out so I can get this ground wire off. Okay, it's going to be kind of hard to do because I'm an old man. What I like to do is I like to put the wrenches on the fuel line nuts like that, and that way I can take even one hand and I can squeeze them together. It's not easy. It's easier doing 2 hands, but if you put the wrenches, one down here and one up here, then you run the risk of bending this line, or this line, because you got 2 of them to do. So I've already loosened this one. Definitely don't want to use one wrench on this unless you already got it, loosened like I do. Now you can take that and loosen it, all the way. But I'm gonna do that once I get this phone out of my hand. But camera phone. Anyways, I took the clamp off right here and moved it up. So I'll take this hose off because it goes all the way up there, and you can't move the gas tank with that on there. So I always have to remove this one as well. Off the T right there. It comes off there. Okay, so now that I got the gas tank out, I have noticed, I bought the fuel pump because that's definitely what's needed on this. But, I always knew that keep the receipt, or don't open the boxes until they have the tank down, because it might be the whole fuel pump assembly. you know, something wrong inside. But I haven't even, as you can see, haven't even cleaned it to open it up yet. And that's not the point of this video, or that's part of the video. This is my daughter's vehicle. Even if it wasn't, even if it was somebody else's, you know, somebody I didn't know or a friend or whatever, I would tell them that this is definitely a bad thing, and it's only going to get worse. I mean, I would call this, in my opinion, a ticking time bomb. That's really rusty. This is kind of normal rust that you would see on a, you know, fuel pump assembly. This is, in my opinion, extreme. And yeah, so I'm gonna return the. I'm gonna clean my hands up and get the receipt and return the fuel pump and strainer that I bought. And I'm gonna purchase the whole fuel pump assembly, so this is not an issue. So we don't have a ticking time bomb here. Okay, so I marked the hoses that I took off of here and here. I only marked one with the tape, and I marked the one that goes to the longest one. And I remember that by saying, you know, the tape's not going to stay on for long. Because when I put it on here, I'll take the tape off of the hose. So I remember long and long. So anyways, it's a silly way I do it, but it works. Okay, now I still haven't cleaned it yet, but I just went to AutoZone, returned the pump and the screen, and placed the order for the whole unit, which is coming to fuel pump, the screen, and that way I don't have this rusty line. And you don't have to do this, but I'm going to. When I get the new one in, I'm going to go ahead and take some primer and paint and actually paint the lines, you know, keeping it away from the threads, of course. I'll tape that all up. But anyways, this is one of the key things that my grandpa taught me years ago when I was a teenager, when I first started working on cars with him. The reason this is important is for three, maybe even more reasons, but three reasons I know is: number one, to keep moisture out of the tank, since it's going to sit overnight in this case, since we have to order the pump. Also, so we don't get rust, sediment, dirt, you know, anything around. I mean, this isn't rusty, it's rubber. But I'm just saying, if, you know, when, yeah, it keeps stuff out of going in here. And also, one of the biggest things my grandpa taught me is sometimes, especially if it's older gas, which is not really the case here, but if it was older gas, and sometimes even newer gas, creatures like mice, little rats, squirrels, anything that can fit in here, sometimes they get curious about the smell. They think maybe it's a food product, so they crawl in here, you know, to investigate. And of course, when they hit the gas, they die, and then now you got a dead rodent in your gas tank, and who wants to deal with that? So yeah, that's why that's very important. And so yeah, you keep moisture out, keep debris out, and keep critters out. So, and I also did the same with the vent tube. I don't think critters can get in there, but bugs, you know, and stuff. So okay, there it is with the new sending in it. A lot of people don't do it, but I like at least putting a little paint on the lines, and anywhere where I see rust inhibiting paint. That's the first coat. It's got some splotches there. I don't shake the can good enough, but I'm gonna let it dry and shoot another coat, and then I'm gonna install it. Okay, well, I got the tank back up there, positioned right and tight. About ready to put the little skid plate for the four-wheel drive. You don't find these on the two-wheel drive, as far as I know, for my research, but definitely goes on the 4x4s. And if you got a 4x4 or four-wheel drive 96 Suburban that doesn't have this plate, someone didn't put it back on. Anyways, make sure the straps are, of course, inside the grooves here, not up here. Make sure it's nice and tight. Not tight enough to break the bolts, or actually the bolts on this one wouldn't break as much as the nuts. It's those, we got the nuts slide in there, the easy clips, as my grandpa used to call them. Anyways, it's already been tested for leaks and whatnot. I wouldn't recommend putting this plate on till you do that. It's up there. I just wanted to make note. Remember, I mentioned to someone at the beginning of this video that these electrical connectors are right here, so be careful when you drop the tank. And I was careful, thank goodness, so everything's fine. But a final inspection, doesn't hurt. Make sure nothing got pinched in between bolts or anything, or between the body. Check for connections, quick connects. Not connected properly, not locked. Everything looks good. So, I'm gonna put the last bolt in and then fire her up. Okay, the plate is all the way done. I'm recording still underneath because I wanted to point out that another thing I like to do, especially since this is my daughter's vehicle, and I love her and I care about her and her safety and everything. I figure while I'm under here, inspect everything out. Well, I'm trying to do everything but the vitals. You know, fuel leaks, brake fluid leaks. Like one thing you can do is you can look in the bottom of the rim because it's been sitting for a while here. The Suburban has while I was waiting for the fuel pump to come in, the assembly unit. It's bone dry in the rim. Usually a leaky brake will, you know, drip on the rim and sometimes on the concrete right there. And both these rims are good. You know, if you're not rushed, and even if you are rushed, if it's someone you care about's vehicle, you know, it doesn't hurt. You're under here. Might as well look at things like I noticed this muffler right there. I don't know if you can see on the camera too good. Right there, it's on its way out. Let's get that rust spot right there in the bottom, underneath the pipe there. It's kind of hard to see in the camera, but you know, done some inspections and stuff. And you know, another thing too is now I'm gonna crawl out here. I gotta do a check, make sure there's nothing, no nails or anything, or bolts around underneath the tires. Just make sure I got everything with the bumper. And actually, I have done all that checking, so. But anyway, sorry about the shoddy camera work here. So we're gonna see if we can hear this fuel pump. The old one we could hear because it was on its way out. It was really loud. But hold on, I'm fighting to get the key here. There's so many of them here. Anyways, you could hear it real loud before. I don't know if you can hear the buzzer come in. Yeah, see, I can't even hear it. She's firing right up. Let's see if we can hear it back here. Remember how it was before? How loud it was? And it was going up and down. Okay, so I'm going to shut her down so I can shut this garage door and take her on a test drive.